Seller closes the deal, wire hits the bank, business is gone. Then 14 months later, there's a lien on their house. Not because of fraud, not because the deal failed, but because of something buried in the reps and warranties they signed during the sale. And here's the dangerous part. Most business owners think their LLC protects them from this. It doesn't. In this video, I'm going to show you what's actually exposed after the sale, why most sellers discover this too late, and the 4 conversations you need to have before you go to market. This is one of the most underreported risks in selling a business. Most owners spend years thinking about valuation, taxes, employees, buyers, negotiations, but almost nobody spends enough time thinking about personal exposure after closing. And by the time they do, their window to fix it is already closing. Because once a buyer enters the picture, once financials are shared, once you're under LOI and due diligence starts, any major restructuring raises questions. Why now? What changed? What are you trying to protect? That can slow the deal down, increase scrutiny, and in some cases create legal exposure if it appears assets were moved because of a pending transaction. That's why this conversation has to happen before you go to market, not during the deal, before it. Let's start with the biggest misconception, the LLC. Most business owners believe I have an LLC, so my personal assets are protected. That's partially true. An LLC can help shield personal assets from business liabilities, but there are major exceptions. And one of the biggest is this: personal guarantees. If you signed personally on an SBA loan, a lease, line of credit, equipment financing, or certain vendor agreements, your LLC didn't sign those, you did. And selling the business does not automatically release you from those obligations. A lot of owners assume, well, once I sell the company, I'm done. Not necessarily. If those guarantees weren't specifically released or renegotiated, they can survive the sale. And many sellers don't discover that until there's a problem. Now let's talk about the part most owners never think through: how your personal assets are actually held. Your house, investment accounts, cash accounts, other real estate. Are they personally titled, jointly owned, held in a trust, inside another entity? Because that determines what's exposed if something goes wrong after closing. And yes, things can absolutely go wrong after closing. Here's a real example. Seller closes a $2.5 million deal. Everything looks fine. Then, over a year later, the buyer uncovers a payroll tax issue from several years earlier. An indemnification claim gets filed for $280,000. The business is already gone. The LLC is dissolved. So where does the claim go? It goes to the seller's personal assets: home, investment accounts, cash. That's what became exposed. Now, to be clear, this is not about hiding assets, and it's not about being deceptive. This is about understanding exposure before a transaction happens while you still have options. Quick pause here. If you're planning to sell your business in the next 1 to 5 years, subscribe. Most owners only go through this process once, and most discover the real risks after the deal is already signed. This channel is designed to help you avoid that. A lot of owners ask me about trusts. Should they move assets into a trust before selling? The honest answer is trusts can absolutely be useful planning tools, but they're not magic shields. And timing matters. A trust established years before a sale as a part of a normal estate planning is very different from one created right before a transaction. If something is done too late, especially once a transaction is developing, it can create problems. That's why this conversation belongs with your estate attorney, your wealth advisor, your CPA, and your legal team. Not YouTube comments, not social media, and definitely not last minute. So here are the 4 conversations every business owner should have before listing their company for sale. Number 1, your attorney. Review every personal guarantee. Understand what survives closing. Understand your liability exposure under reps and warranties, and identify what can realistically be addressed before going to market. Number 2, your CPA. How will proceeds be taxed? Does current asset titling affect your tax outcome? Are there restructuring opportunities worth considering early? Number 3, your wealth advisor. How are your personal assets currently held? What changes after a liquidity event? And what's the plan for proceeds before the wire even hits? And number 4, your estate attorney. Is your estate plan current? Are trusts or other structures appropriate for your situation? And if so, do they need to be established well before the sale process begins? These conversations are much easier before buyers are involved. If you want help preparing for a business sale before buyers start asking questions, I built the Exit Ready Vault for exactly that. Inside are the same frameworks, checklists, and buyer risk tools I use to help business owners prepare before going to market. Personal asset protection checklist, LOI review framework, buyer tactics decoder, due diligence prep, value gap analysis, and more. You can grab it in the link below in the description or in the QR code. And in the next video, I'm covering what your attorney should uncover before you sell, including the hidden liabilities most owners don't realize exist until diligence starts. I'll see you there.